sign, there are two family names that kind of came together. My father, I know I joke with people that I was conceived at Woodstock. That's not true. The two family names. My father is Garcia, Felix Garcia. You have a picture of him, as a matter of fact, in front of you. He's from a town in Puerto Rico called Vega Baja. Born to a family where he had, the family couldn't afford shoes, literally had nothing. Dirt floors, and came to find opportunity to the stateside. Most people, a lot of people get confused. Puerto Rico is part of the United States. He's an American citizen. But a lot of people don't know that you can be born in Puerto Rico and run for president of the United States. But if you're a resident of Puerto Rico, you can't vote for yourself. It's a very interesting thing. Standing is a major theme of my candidacy. So we have the Garcia side from rural Puerto Rico. He came to the state side to play baseball and to make a life for himself, seeking opportunity. And he owned a number of small businesses, small bodegas, small stores, corner stores. And he's a religious Protestant who refused to sell lottery tickets and tobacco products, and was ultimately put out of business by the Stop and Shops of the world when they came into town. And he was then out of work and hired by a company in North Haven, Connecticut, called FireGuard. And they were a union shop, and he rose up through the union, and he became a union steward. And I know what it is like. I'm an unabashed pro-labor guy because I saw the impact that labor had on my old man, in my family, in my house. And I'm forever grateful to them. They sponsored me later to go to college. I was the first in my family to go to college. And I got a scholarship from the union, 2 of them actually. And later became a member of the New Haven Board of Aldermen, where I sponsored Connecticut's first living wage legislation. And it's nice to be among Democrats and not to have to explain what that is. But some people don't know that, you know, with all the outsourcing that we were doing, we were taking the same people working the same jobs on Monday that they were working on Friday, but we were just changing who they were working for. Before it was a city, on Monday it'd be somebody else. We called it outsourcing. We saved 28%, and we did that by cutting their health care benefits. So that's how we saved the money. They were the same people doing the same job, just losing their health care benefits. And that's why I didn't think that was the right way for us to save money, so I instituted Connecticut's first living wage legislation, so we didn't participate in this race to the bottom. Now this Gerry, that's part of my name, is short for Gerald. It's my formal name. If you call me and you ask for Gerald, I will know that you're a telemarketer, because nobody calls me Gerald. My grandmother from Eastern Europe used to call me Gerald. She was the only one who called me Gerald. I was named in the Ashkenazi Jewish tradition of naming somebody for a past relative. And so that's where Gerald Garcia together comes from. The things that you'll be hearing me talk about on the campaign trail are some of the things that you may have already seen in the press. They have to do with being an outsider. I stepped down from the Board of Aldermen with a great record, a clean record, and I stepped down because, like a lot of young people, I had to find a job. I got my MBA, and I had student loan bills to pay. And I looked around, and I didn't see the kind of job that I really wanted. And unfortunately, I was able to find one. I was in the big city, and so I went to New York. And that was one of the greatest things I ever did for myself, being out of Connecticut for a few years, because we are a state that likes its traditions and really does resist change. And we think sometimes that the way we do things in Connecticut is the way that they're done everywhere. And it's not always true. What brought me back to Connecticut was my mom. 13 years after beating breast cancer, it came back with a vengeance. I'm the elder of 2, and had the flexibility. I'm a financial advisor, that's what I do. And I was with a large bank in the city, and was able to move my business to Connecticut to be able to take care of my mom. And part of doing that just taught me a lot about our Byzantine system. on November 4th of 2008, we all had the honor and privilege of electing Barack Obama president. And I had the honor and privilege of taking my mom to vote for her last time. November 22nd is when I lost her. And with a body filled with cancer, regardless, my mom refused an AB, and she refused to stay home. And different seeds get planted in your DNA over the course of a lifetime. Being sponsored by my union that helped me go to college, or my dad's union to help me go to college, or my mom in voting and her relationship with it. She was from a generation that some of you may be up to that wouldn't accept an absentee ballot. Her son, the former alderman, knew how to get an absentee ballot for sure, but she wouldn't take it. And it hit me that whether you're a commuter to Hartford, or a senior, or an urban single mom, or somebody who's sick, that here in Connecticut, we challenge you to participate on the most elemental level in our process, our elected process. What does that look like? Well, we didn't have a Barack Obama this past year. So this past year, what happened in New Haven, my town, where we have 125,000 residents, 64,000 registered voters, we had 11,263 people come out to vote. That's a 17.6% number. It's more than double Hartford's 7%. So yes, I am a Puerto Rican Jew. When I walk into different communities, I speak in the language and experience of people of color. Sí, yo hablo español. Yes, I speak Spanish. When I was in Waterbury, for example, I was impromptu asked to speak. And when I got down, I was at a Latin American Chamber of Commerce meeting, and all of the usual suspects, everybody, all the candidates and pre-candidates that you've all heard so far, went up and spoke, and they talked about how great they were and how much they were going to revolutionize the state. And there we were sitting, like probably if I talk much longer, you will too, saying, when will they shut up? When will they move on? And at the end, that's when they said, and Gerry, why don't you come up and say a few words? And I said, no, I really don't want to. Everybody's heard plenty. And it was an all Spanish-speaking audience, and everybody had spoken. So the guy's up on the stage saying, Gerry, come up and say a few words. And this is before I was a candidate. So I got up on stage, and I took the microphone, and I'm looking down at everybody like I'm looking down at all of you, except you're looking at me. Nobody there was looking at me. They all wanted to go home. And I said, buenas noches a mi gente. Good evening, my people. And then they started looking at me like you're looking at